Hey everyone, it's Stephanie Bothell from Coldwell Banker Realty, the Tooele real estate expert. Just coming to you today on a nice, beautiful Saturday. 4th of July is coming up, but I wanted to talk about something that I think a lot of people aren't sure they understand. Do you need a realtor if you are going to go build a new home with one of the many fantastic builders that we have here? The answer is 100% yes. You need to have your own agent when you first walk through that door. Don't set foot through the door of a model home just looking if you think you might be even a little bit serious. Some builders have a rule that if you go and talk to them about new home options, once you sign into their book and you don't have an agent, they won't let you come back later, even a month or two later, with your own agent. So just don't do it. If you want to go look at new construction, just call me and I'll happily go with you. And that doesn't mean you have to commit to me or anything else, but I want you to know what you're getting into with new construction. So one thing you need to know is that sales agents that work at the model home, they work for the builder and nobody else. They don't work for you, they don't represent you, and they don't necessarily have your best interests at heart because they are worried about doing a good job for the builder because that's who pays them. They're friendly and they're helpful. They can explain a whole lot of things and explain the process to you, but in the end, they work for the builder. When you bring in your own realtor, like me, for example, I have to work for your best interest. I am legally bound to do my fiduciary duty to you, which means I owe you loyalty and confidentiality and a whole bunch of other things, but in the end, I'm working for you and not for the builder. Most builder pricing is even structured to include a builder's agent commission. So the builder is going to be paying me, not you. And so if you go in and you don't have your own agent, they just get to keep that money. There are some builders that will tell you that they can give you a better deal if you ditch your agent or don't have an agent. But when I explain the things that I can do for you as your agent, you might be surprised at what it's worth to you to save a little bit of money versus having someone who has your back. So what do I do for you as your buyer's agent when you want to build a new home? Let me tell you. So the first thing we do before we set foot in that model home, even if you're not super serious yet, I like to do what I call a buyer consultation. And at that buyer consultation, we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about what pricing you think you want, what features you think you want. I can explain the process of new construction, and we might save you a little bit of time just in that step and talking about what you want. We might be able to cross some builders off your list. I might tell you, hey, you might want to consider this builder. They might work best for you. So we do our buyer consultation. During that consultation, I'm going to talk about all of the things that you might want to worry about when building a home. I have a document. It's 3 pages long, well, like 2.5. But as a list of things that as a buyer, you may want to test for, check out, all of these things. It's 3 pages long. We're going to talk about mold, meth, radon. New construction, asbestos and lead-based paint aren't going to be an issue. We can talk about them anyway, in case you want to buy an existing home. We talk about whether or not you should have your own inspector go through the home before you close. We'll talk about lot lines and square footage and whether or not you should have your own survey done. I'll counsel you about how to steer clear of wire fraud schemes, whether or not you should purchase a separate home warranty. I've worked with quite a few builders, so I know some of the ins and outs of their contract. For example, there is one builder here in Tooele County that when you sign a contract with them, in that contract, it says that if the price of labor or materials goes up, that they can add that to the price of the home after you've signed the contract. Important stuff to know. I can warn you about what can happen about losing your construction deposit. When you buy a new construction home, there is a hefty construction deposit that has to be put down at a certain point in the transaction. And I want to make sure that you're aware of that and make sure that you know that that can be forfeited if things go south. So I want you to make sure that you know all of those things. I'm going to encourage you to get pre-approved for a loan before we ever set foot in a model home. Sometimes you might think that's putting the cart before the horse, but let's know exactly what you're qualified for and what your payments are going to be before we go and start home shopping. I do that with existing homes as well. It doesn't make a lot of sense to start looking at homes until we know what your budget is. Also, you're going to know what interest rate to expect, and you're going to be able to compare closing costs. So you walk in armed with some really good information. We can talk about upgrades and extra things that might get added on to the price of that new home. I know when we drive down the road and we see these amazing looking prices for new construction, we're tempted to just, not even look at a home that's already been built, but those prices tend to be really, really low, and usually you can't find a home for those prices. So just be aware of that. Once we start going to the model home, you're going to be armed with that information. You're going to have questions that you want to ask the builder's agent, and you're going to be pre-approved to know what you can afford. I will be there once you pick that floor plan, pick that builder, pick everything that you think you're going to want. I'm going to be with you there every step of the way. I'm going to go to every meeting with you. Every time you meet with the builder, I'll be there. When you go to inspections and four-way inspections, I'm going to be there. I've been in the business for a good long time, so I know some things to look out for that I can point out. When you go to the design center, which is the funnest part of building a new home and picking your paint and your flooring and your counters and your cabinets, I'll be there with you as well, just to make sure that everything goes smoothly, and I'm just a sounding board as you're talking about what the things that you want. So I'm there as well. Once the house is completely finished, we do a final walkthrough. We take a lot of blue tape, and any little flaw we see in the drywall, or if there's something that's not quite right, I'm there with you, just an extra set of eyes looking at that home. And if the builder starts to balk at some things, I'm there, I've got your back, and it's just one more person in your corner if something goes wrong or there's something that you need to have fixed when you're there. And I do all of this because, once again, my duty is to you, and I represent you and only you, and I've got your back with new construction. So you've just got someone in your corner at all times. So I hope that I've answered a few questions for you about new construction. Again, it's before we start looking at homes, we do a lot of groundwork before we do that. But new construction is fun, and it's nice to walk into a home that is yours, completely and utterly yours, that no one else has lived in, no one else has gotten dirty, and it's really fun. So if new construction is something that you're interested in, talk to your own agent. If you don't have an agent, give me a call, reach out, and we can definitely go look at some new construction model homes. But first, we're going to meet, and we're going to talk about all the things that we need to look out for. So have a nice day, everyone. Thanks so much. We'll see you later.